Good morning and welcome to the chat on Newsday Amarillo and News Channel 10-2. I'm David Lovejoy.
And I'm Jody Holland.
And of course, Chuck Rondo away from the desk this morning, having a good time, I guess, taking a little vacation. June Jazz, one of the premier events here in Amarillo's Jim Laughlin June Jazz Series. Can't forget Dr. Laughlin, a great guy there. We have a great citizen and a great vocalist and jazz man joining us. They'll perform tomorrow on the campus of Amarillo College. It's Mr. Patrick Swindell, his great band, the Esquire Band. Mr. Swindell, welcome to the chat this morning.
Glad to be here. Thanks for having me.
Yeah, I think you've got an amazing lineup this year. I mean, the Martinis, the June Jazz Big Band with Sandy Story, your band, Esquire Jazz Band, Austin Brazil, and Sean Vokes. Tell us a little bit about. I know we end up with hundreds of people coming out to this at Amarillo College, but tell us a little bit about the origins of June Jazz. I know it's been going on a few years, but how to get it all started?
Well, of course, Dr. Laughlin started this thing, and in the beginning years, we had small crowds, and we didn't do a lot of marketing back then, and but it has really become an event for our community and a great opportunity to showcase the talent that we've got here in the Texas Panhandle. It's really amazing. We've been blessed with so many great musicians and people who enjoy the jazz music as I do, and it's just been a great opportunity.
Patrick, what flips a switch for you when it comes to this style of music? And if you're not familiar with Esquire and Mr. Swindell, take you back to the era of the Rat Pack rather. Dean Martin, Frank Sinatra, Sammy Davis Jr., just that those great songs. "Fly Me to the Moon" comes to mind, and things like that. What drew you to this form of expression?
Well, growing up, actually here in Amarillo, I was born and raised here, and back in the late 50s, early 60s, I was just surrounded with that kind of music. My family, we don't own one of those big console stereos with the turntable, and we were turning vinyls back then. I didn't realize at the time what an impact that would have on me in terms of my interest in music. Kind of went the route in high school, got a rock band going, and it was a lot of fun. But I kept having this tug back to the jazz world, and it's the kind of music that just is ageless, really. Seems like pop music comes and goes. It has a very short shelf life, and then you never hear it again. But with jazz, so many great artists throughout the decades have copied so many of these original, what oftentimes were old show tunes, Cole Porter music, the Gershwins, and so it's just a very interesting, and of course it's an American original. We started it here, and it comes from all different types of ethnic groups, and back in the gospel music comes into it as well. And anyway, it's very interesting. It's always different. I give my guys a hard time because I'll call out a song, and they'll start an intro, and I'm thinking to myself, is this the same song that I just asked them to do? Keeps me on my toes.
I say what's so cool about jazz though is that it's such an expression
It
of
is.
like your soul coming out. You can kind of just riff and have fun and just exist in the music.
Yeah.
Well, that's so true. I oftentimes get caught up in listening to my, especially the horn players and the piano player, just take off, in a solo, and just if you watch any of us, you'll see big smiles on our face, not just because we're enjoying what we do, but we're enjoying the creativity and the impromptu nature of these solos, and we get a big kick out of that. Of course, there's a lot of comments being made in the background that the crowd doesn't get to hear.
Right. And I think that's what really sold me on jazz at a young age was everybody might have a version of "Fly Me to the Moon" whatever a jazz standard is, but it's the uniqueness that the artists and the musicians bring to it. You see now, I mean, I came up and I grew up in the 70s and the 80s, and it used to be a sign of being cool if you got Downbeat magazine and that sort of stuff. And if you do, especially at my age, it was a lot of contemporary jazz. It's a lot of Dave
Yeah.
Cobbs and Sanborn. But I've always, my brother introduced me to jazz, and I've always been the old school guy, bebop guy, Thelonious Monk, Charlie Parker, Miles Davis, of course, that kind of realm.
Right.
You don't see the draw as much to the young people to jazz, and it kind of saddens me. Do you ever worry that the legacy of this music and this style of music might lessen as we move forward into modern? I totally agree with you that these songs have substance. They have the lasting ability. A lot of today's music is almost like fast food. You eat it when you're there, and then you're done with it.
Right. No, I don't really worry about that because you've got artists, young artists that are picking up on these jazz standards. Michael Bublé, Nora Jones, Diane Krall, and it seems to be timeless in that regard. And they bring their own little style to each of those songs, and it's different, and so it remains fresh, I think. And if you come tomorrow night, you're going to hear a mixture of some jazz standards. We're going to do a lot of Latin jazz this time, and in fact, I've asked James Beckham to come in and do some percussions with us, some congas and cowbell and that sort of thing. And so it's going to be a lot of fun. We had a rehearsal the other night and really enjoyed it.
You had me at cowbell.
Yeah.
It was
Yeah,
all
more
cowbell right there. It
Right.
was
more cowbell.
It just makes it fun. I think that's the cool thing. And I've used jazz music as my background music anytime I've needed to be creative
Mhm.
for years. Anytime I'm sitting down to write, I put on some jazz, and it just like mellows you out and gets your brain working the right way. So that's what I love about the music, is that it seems to open you up instead of, you talked about having your rock band when you first were in high school, and you're like, we're
Yeah,
gonna make it
yeah.
fun. But
Yeah.
that doesn't get you the creativity. It just kind of, maybe it gives you a little energy right then, but you need that smooth creativity in life.
Well, and it's the difference between a 3-chord song and a 100-chord song. Not to knock rock or
Mhm.
country, but that is what's unique that's the big difference, I think, in jazz compared to other styles of music, or genres.
Yeah.
You don't want to miss this show. Patrick Swindell and the jazz band Esquire will be on the campus of Amarillo College on Tuesday. Get out, get your picnic blanket out. It is such a great, great evening of music at Amarillo College. It has become an institution here. From where it used to have, maybe 25 to 30 people, now it's hundreds. And it's comfortable. It's in a great place, the new Oscar Mall there on the campus of Amarillo College, and come out. And if you have never had the opportunity to see Mr. Swindell perform, you're missing a treat. He just does a great job with some of the best music in the American songbook. If young, old, bring the dogs out. If you can't make it out, you can stream it live on KACV.org or on 89.9 Amarillo College's FM 90. Be a part of the Jim Laughlin Jazz Series. Patrick, knock it out of the park tomorrow. Break a leg.
We'll do it. Thanks
All
for
right.
having me.
Anytime. Have a great day. We're going to take a quick break. We're back with more chat right after this on Newsday Amarillo and News Channel 10-2.